And now we go to our correspondent in Hong Kong, Deborah, Wong. So, Deborah, tell us about this significant arrival of Mr. Xi and what he just mentioned and what he just said.
Well, it's important to highlight the fact that Mr. Xi actually emphasized a lot on the dark times that Hong Kong just passed through in the last 5 years. You know, he referred obviously to the pandemic, to the social unrest, and the words that he used were that Hong Kong spent all these years withstanding severe tests, and it did conquer a number of risks and challenges. So having gone through that, you know, he is confident that Hong Kong can tap on resources in the Greater China area to move forward. So, and he also made reference to the principle of one country, two systems, saying that, you know, the fact that Hong Kong could overcome all these challenges is a reflection of how powerful that this model is, because it will ensure long-term prosperity as well as vitality for the city. And, you know, just comparing this to the speech 5 years ago he made in 2017 during Hong Kong's 20th anniversary of its handover, it's not that different. You know, back then he urged residents to believe in the city, believe in China, and to also, again, tap on regional opportunities. Back then it was the Belt and Road Initiative. And the political situation back then was very different from now, because in between 2017 and now, we saw the political unrest of 2019. We have also seen the COVID-19 pandemic. So there have been crackdowns on pro-democratic supporters as well as protesters, so effectively quashing all sorts of opposition voices. So both speeches do reflect similar themes of unity and cooperation. But in this year's speech, we are seeing a greater emphasis on moving forward after the unrest of 2019.
Deborah, Mr. Xi has, we know, not left mainland China since the start of this pandemic. So what is the significance of his presence in Hong Kong today?
Well, you're right. You know, Mr. Xi has not left mainland China for the last 2 years since the pandemic. And, you know, the last 2 years, really, China has been walled off from the rest of the world, while other countries have moved on to live with the virus. You know, even overland travel between Hong Kong as well as China has been strictly scrutinized. There are quarantine arrangements there. But earlier this week, we saw a sort of olive branch because China just recently announced that they will be relaxing some of the quarantine measures. So it is 14 days, but right now it's cut down to 7 days in a facility, as well as 3 days following that in home isolation. So with that in mind, together with Mr. Xi's willingness to visit Hong Kong after months of speculation, you know, it really is a reflection of how China recognizes that it cannot put up its walls indefinitely, and especially if it wants to walk the talk with Hong Kong to deepen integration, to deepen connectivity. And Mr. Xi's visit, if anything, really aims to boost confidence in the new administration moving forward.
So, Hong Kong police, they've certainly ramped up security measures ahead of this visit. How is the sentiment like on the ground?
Well, we must remember that today really is the second anniversary of the national security law, which authorities have said, you know, it is a stabilizer for the city's prosperity. The result really is heavy police presence all throughout the Wan Chai district, where the inauguration will happen and where the flag raising will happen as well. So, in fact, earlier I talked about how opposition voices have been quashed. You know, the League of Social Democrats, as an opposition party, they have put out a statement to say that police warned them against organizing any sort of protest, and members were in fact questioned. The houses were searched, according to their chairman, Wong, on Facebook earlier. So we are seeing this sort of scrutiny, this sort of heightened security that's sweeping the city. And earlier this morning, we actually went down to West Kowloon railway station just to check out the situation hours before Mr. Xi's arrival. So have a look at what we saw. This is the closest we can get to West Kowloon railway station in the morning, and I'm told that this area will be closed off later. The closures will extend beyond this road, so residents and commuters will not be able to cross this area. Now, as you can see, water barricades are already up, The exits at all the train stations here and there are fenced off, and already there's heavy police presence. More of them are arriving at the moment, and they're getting ready to patrol the entire West Kowloon Cultural District. So it goes to show the extent of care authorities are taking ahead of Mr. Xi's arrival. After all, this is the Chinese president's first visit outside mainland China since the pandemic began. It's also the first time he's arriving by the high-speed rail that connects Hong Kong to China. Roads leading to nearby West Kowloon Cultural District also has heavy police presence.
而家我哋都係揾緊路點樣去，因為啲地鐵封晒，咁啲出口封晒，所以我哋而家諗緊點樣去咯。
Mr. Xi's two-day trip to Hong Kong may include a stop at the city's science park, meeting with officials and outgoing CE Carrie Lam. He will return to Shenzhen by train on Thursday night before entering Hong Kong again on Friday for the handover events. There's a high degree of secrecy around the details of the program. Now, I understand that even foreign diplomats are not privy to much information, much less the press. So each media agency could only send one representative to cover the inauguration. Our cameraman who was deployed to do that, he had to take a PCR test every day from Sunday, and he had to check into a quarantine hotel on Wednesday. Even so, he wasn't given much details apart from where and what time to meet for security checks. Beyond that, it seems that those who registered had their backgrounds checked in some way or the other. At least 13 reporters across local and foreign media had their applications rejected, while some were turned away upon checking in at the quarantine hotel. No clear reasons were given. The test and quarantine protocols make it difficult for agencies to send replacements on short notice. But the government refuted claims that press freedom was at stake, claiming that it needed to balance the needs of the media with security requirements.
可能大家都留意到，我哋香港咧近年咧本土恐怖主義嗰個冒升咧係明顯係具體嘅。我哋過去嘅2年間咧喺香港，我哋警隊破獲嘅與恐怖呢啲本土恐怖主義活動有關嘅案件，所揾到嘅槍支、所揾到嘅炸藥或者佢嘅原材料，其實都係咧喺外國唔同嘅恐怖襲擊活動裏面咧。佢用嘅武器係相類似，咁因為係咁樣咧，我哋咧係高度關注今次主席嚟香港出席呢啲活動，佢會受到恐怖襲擊個威脅。
This is in response to the social-political unrest of 2019, when some arrested protesters were found with explosives on them. Similar scenes of heightened security are playing out across the harbour at the Wan Chai district, home to the Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Centre, where Mr. Xi is expected to attend the flag-raising ceremony and incoming leader John Lee's inauguration. Major roads to the centre are closed and buses rerouted. Thousands of police are on patrol, all for a day of historical importance. Deborah Wong, CNA, Hong Kong.